Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another little video for the Suicide and Spirituality Project. And one of the things that I try to do when I make these videos is to make them as broad-reaching as possible so that they're not too lost in spiritual lingo and everything else. But there comes a point where there is a kind of a necessity to use the spiritual lingo because there's not really another language to talk about all this in. But regardless, today's video, I just wanted to put it out there. I've been following a lot of different pages, a lot of different groups and things on social media, and just not really interacting with those groups so much because you tend to draw in a lot of, what would you call it, argumentative sort of position justifying stuff that I'm really not interested in getting into. You know, it's like I like to just say what I say. You can take it or leave it, and if it's helpful, great. If it's not, I'm not interested in trying to prove a point. I know what works for me, and having tried to take my life when I was in my very early 20s and wake up in hospital, I can tell you that it's taken me all of my life since then. I'm 53 now. All of my life since then in searching, seeking, praying, meditating, and looking for the meaning of my life, and not only that, but looking for that meaning wherein it will give me a way to be able to extend my heart space, extend my mind, extend the certainty of the experiences that I've had, which I've grounded within myself through my spiritual disciplines, so that I can be useful, so that I can be helpful. Right, and that is a perspective in anyone's spiritual path that they want to be truly helpful. Right? Now, you never know who you're going to be helpful to, how that's going to occur, any of that. I make these little videos, and if it's helpful, so be it. I also offer one-to-one meetings with people if you're having trouble, and group sessions that we do from time to time. And we give away these little books, The Traveler's Guide to the Third Dimension, which are just a universal spiritual philosophy, I guess, if you want to call it that way, and some other little bits and pieces in there that sort of prop up and give a backdrop to the main crux of the work in this book, which is the reviews of the first 50 lessons of A Course in Miracles. So I find from time to time that every time I make one of these videos that deals specifically with suicide, as I did the other day, which I've just posted around the place, I get a lot of response. So I ask people, sometimes if I remember, I ask people to inbox me your name, your address, and I'll send you one of these books if you're outside of the area where I live here in Australia. And if you're overseas, if you can send me a return, postage paid, self-addressed envelope for 200 grams, let's say, and I'll send you a couple of these. These are not much weight in them. And I'll send you a few of these out. Right? I'm always looking for distributors, people who are willing to take this on board, people who have had an experience through using A Course in Miracles or some other spiritual text or path, and are willing to simply say, here, have a look at this. Maybe pass it on if it's not for you. You know, so one of the things that I get regularly is people that have been to other groups or other what would you call it, other suicide, don't even know what you call them, suicide awareness groups and things like that. They've been along to counsellors and stuff like that, and are just left feeling flat, just left feeling completely like empty inside, and they don't know where to go from there. And one of the main things I get is that it's so expensive. It's $80 or whatever it was. This young girl was telling me this morning, $80 per session at her shrink, and she can only get in every 3 or 4 weeks, which doesn't really bring her any joy. You know, there's no. It's like when you start on something that's for your own good, you want to get into it. You want to be part of it. You don't want to have to wait 3 weeks with your old dreary self-sabotaging thought system before you can get onto something good that's going to give you some real light at the end of the tunnel. Now if it's difficult for you to embrace the idea of that light at the end of the tunnel being a spiritual light, that is what it is. No matter what healing process you go to, no matter what kind of modality that you end up involved in, unless you're actually sedating yourself with drugs or, and I'm not saying don't do that, but unless you're actually doing something on the physical plane out there or trying to convince yourself that what happened in the past, you can heal it and everything, you're not doing anything. There's no light there at all. The only light that you're going to find in your spiritual path is forgiveness. Right? The only light that you are going to come across, the only joy, the only happiness that you're going to find within yourself is going to come about because all of a sudden you've forgiven yourself for a vast plethora of lifetimes worth of shit. And I don't know how to put that, but it's just this moment worth of shit, right? So the use of this little book will teach you very simply to let go of the past, let go of the future. Learn to stay present in this moment now where life is actually happening to you, where you can actually be present, be grounded and be one with all things that is and all living things, and enjoy your journey in the world, but without having to feel like you're part of it, right? You become more like a tourist rather than someone that feels trodden down by it or feels like they have to manage through it, that horrible feeling of, oh, another day, more same shit, It's like the secret of salvation is I'm doing this to myself. And that's true. No matter whether someone else seems to be doing something to you or not, it's like the secret of salvation still remains that I'm doing this to myself. I've made this manifest. I've put this person in my life to show me something about myself I don't want to look at. When I'm willing to look at it, when I'm willing to forgive myself for it, that person will be freed up from playing that part for me because I will have dropped the triggers, the buttons, the emotional response mechanisms in my mind that perpetuate that situation. And that's about as simple as I can make that. And a new way of responding, a new way of relating to people, situations and things will begin to grow in you that will ensure that the next time that button-pushing, trigger-pulling person shows up in your life, that it will be an amicably peaceful and harmonious relationship, and something will have changed in you and therefore in the relationship. All right? It's like Gandhi's old saying, be the change that you want to see out there in the world. The world is never going to change. It's only ever going to be a place that represents your thoughts, represents the meaning that you've given your thoughts. It's a symbolic representation of your self-identity, which is, let's say in my case, Dave, the thoughts that I think I am about Dave. Dave's this, Dave's that. I don't know what the fuck a Dave is. I don't even know if that's my real name. It's just something my parents made up. And why am I here? What's it all about? Right? These are the questions we got to look at. Why am I here? What is it all about? Am I really here just to work for my whole life, day in, day out, at a job that I hate so I can die with a gold watch in my hand and go, I did a good day's work, and raise kids who are going to be stuck doing the same shit that I hate doing? That's not what it's about. Wake up. Time doesn't go backwards. It's going forwards to old age, on and on and on and on every single day. Wake the fuck up. God's not something in church. It's not some guy waiting to put his hand out in a church with a hat and take money off you and whatever. It's something in you. It's something in you. It's a passion. You got to find it. It's this zest. It's this vigor. It's something that just, you can feel it in your breathing. You can, like my skin tingles with it. I'm alive with it. It's part of the force. It's everything. Universal mind, whatever you want to call that. Getting a bit passionate there, but, I too once had a blue-collar job, doing fencing, working sheep and cattle, driving trucks, working in storeman and packers jobs, telemarketing, for fuck's sake. Who the hell wants to be born into the world to be a telemarketer? Is that something people aspire to? Bricklayer, block layer, landscape gardener, sign writer. Pretty much all my jobs have been out in the sun, have been hard work, you know. And every time I got a new job, I was grateful for the break from the old one. But every time I got a new job, it just came along with the same emotional, physical, passionless kind of, oh God. And I knew something had to change, but I knew it wasn't the job. I knew it was me. And I'll just tell you quickly a little story about one job that I had, cleaning toilets. That's right, I was a toilet cleaner, and I was a fucking good one. I was travelling around with a couple of girls from our church group. We did an all the way around, we went all the way to West Australia and back, and then we went up to as far as Airlie Beach and back, which was one of my old stomping grounds. And by the time we got all the way around and back, we'd kind of run out of money. I think we had $2,000 to get us there. And everywhere we went, we had box loads of these little books. We bumped into people, went to different groups, churches, whatever, and we just handed these out, and we took a big bunch to WA. And but when we got to Airlie Beach, we ran out of money, and I got a little bit of money doing a bit of sign writing there, which was great. But where we were staying in the caravan park, they needed a toilet cleaner. And so I went to the office and I said, look, we really need money. You know, we can't afford to stay here for another week, and we can't afford to get home, and we can't, you know. So I got the job. I was cleaning toilets, and there was a bit of gardening, and I'd done plenty of landscaping and gardening before, so I was okay with that. So the lady took me around, showed me the toilets, and there was like a big, in the men's, you know, whopping great urinal. There's a big caravan park, right? Whopping great urinal, a dozen stalls, showers, wash basins, the lot. Like if you've ever been to one of these bigger caravan parks, you know. In the women's, there's like 20 stalls, wash basin, like there's a good 2 or 3 hours of toilet cleaning every friggin' day, right? And the women's one was disgusting. It was always disgusting because they take the kids in there, and kids can't point straight. All right, so it was just this disgusting job, right? But I was grateful at first to have the job because it was $400 a week in the hand, and I thought we'll do this for a month or so. And because I was on a spiritual quest in my own association with myself and making myself useful to others, I had, and I still have, certain principles that I live by. Right? One of those principles is, or one of those practices, right, which involves principles, is to resist not evil. Right? Which very simply means whatever you don't like, don't resist it. There's a gift in it for you. Right? Whatever's pushing your buttons, don't resist it. There's a gift in it for you. There's an opportunity. So I knew that it was bringing up this hatred. I hate this job, and hatred is something that's never pleasant to have in the mind. And because I'm a spiritual man, I knew I wanted hatred out of my thought system. I wanted hatred gone from me forever. I didn't want to have to deal with it in another life, in the next experience, in the next relationship, in my next job. None of that. I knew this was an opportunity to expose it in me, and to expose it fully, and to ask from within in prayer of the heart for the healing of my mind of it. Right? So I worked for weeks on end at this toilet cleaning, and I wouldn't say I was very good at the beginning, and mopping the floors and cleaning the thing and the walls and the showers and the scrubbing those dunnies out and unblocking the ones that are blocked. Can't really tell you how disgusting it was. I'm sure you have a good idea. All right. I think about 3 months went by. Right, I was determined not to chuck the job in. I had enough money to go home. I had enough money to get me to where I'm going. The two girls had already taken off. They decided to go back early. They had a little bit of money to get home. I decided to stay and push my limit. Right, and it just, every day, I can't do this anymore. Every day, I can't face this anymore. I can't fucking do this. It's just driving me crazy, this filthy, dirty, disgusting job. And I was watching my anger level going up and up every day. I had to get up. I was just like, it's like, until finally I reached the honest point where I couldn't do it anymore. I just didn't want to do it. That was it. I was going to chuck the job in and everything. And in that moment that I saw that, I went into my van, shut the door behind me, and fell to my knees in prayer. And I asked him, as honest as I could, heal my mind of the hatred, not the job, the hatred and the emotionality that goes with that around the job that, you know, that it's presenting me, whatever. And then I went to bed. I woke up in the morning, and this is why prayer works, right? I woke up in the morning because it was a sincere prayer, right? I woke up in the morning completely relieved of any anger, anything. And I looked forward, this was just a natural thing, I was looking forward to going and clean the toilets. I went in, I got in early, I cleaned the toilets, I scrubbed, I shined, I sparkled, and everything was fantastic. And I put like this, and I'm like, that's the fucking best sparkly clean toilets that anyone's ever going to put a bum on. And I felt proud about it. I felt proud that anyone's bum was going to sit on that chair, take their morning crap. So, and then the funniest thing happens, right? Finally, I'd had a shift. It hadn't occurred to me I should go and chuck in my job yet, I was just glad about that. But the boss lady came over to me after I'd just finished cleaning the toilets and got the results of it and everything. She came out, she said, Dave, look, I'm very sorry, but we've just decided that your heart's not in this and we're going to let you go, And I went, yoo-hoo! I couldn't believe it. It was just like, that was the universe, just saying, job's done, And every job is like that. The situations, the events, the relationships that you're in are pushing your buttons and giving you opportunities to find inner peace through the release of the denial of love that is within each of us, which is what we've chosen to experience in the physical journey and in our physical experience of being separate from God. Where is God? Is there a God? Right? This is the experience we're having. I seem to find myself separate from everyone and everything. I don't fit in. I feel empty inside, right? The spiritual path is one that fulfills that. The spiritual path is one that gives you tools, gives you philosophy, gives you all sorts of stuff to help you in your life, to help you get through the journey so you don't have to commit suicide, so you don't feel so bad that there's no option, right? Begin a spiritual journey. Make a conscious decision for inner peace. You'll love it, I guarantee it. It'll be hard at first. The first couple of years is study, and nobody likes study. We all fucking failed at school because we didn't like study. We just weren't interested. But when the shit hits the fan hard enough in your own life, I guarantee you're going to be interested. Right? Nobody wants to commit suicide. They just want an alternative, and you're not going to find it out there in the world. You're only going to ever find it in you. Because God exists, love exists, peace exists within you, and you have to learn how to choose for it in situations that seem to tempt you to want to decide against it. All right, that's a good one. All right, we'll call that a wrap. I love you, and if you want some of these little books, the big book is better, like A Course in Miracles. It's about this thick, right? Get online and order it. Just type in A Course in Miracles, White Edition. That's the one that I'm responsible for. That's the one that the Thetford Foundation is putting out. And if you want some of these, you'll find that on Amazon, by the way, or Angus and Robertson. It's in 2 parts, Part A and Part B. Order both parts. If you want some of these, just inbox me, and I'll get them out to you somehow. All right, I love you. Peace.